This here is the Maruti S-Presso. Maruti calls it a mini SUV and it's pronounced like the coffee. But is it anything more than just a small car which has been raised? Well, it competes with the Renault Quid. Let's find out how good it is. First, a quick note about the design. It has that boxy SUV styling with a Brezza-inspired front grille and a tall bonnet. At the rear too, the vehicle looks raised with a separate bumper element adding to the height. But frankly, the looks will take a little getting used to. So this is the S-Presso with the 5-speed manual transmission. And well, it's a familiar engine, the 1-litre K series. It puts out 68 PS of power and 90 Newton meters of torque. Now that may not be too much when on paper, but then you must remember this is a very light car. It weighs just 760 kilos dry. The K series 1-litre engine is also there in the Alto K10, and that car is a pocket rocket. How is it in the S-Presso? Well, no different. The initial pickup is good, pretty good for city, but then once you get past 100 kilometers per hour, it tends to bounce around a bit because it's fairly light, and the tall stance isn't helping much. The S-Presso therefore is ideal for the city. Maruti may call it a mini SUV, but it's actually a hatch on steroids. Now the instrumentation in the S-Presso is fairly basic. Yes, you get this funky instrument console over here with the infotainment system and the instrument panel and the large digital speedometer. But what it lacks is a tachometer, and that's something I'm used to. You do get a gear change indicator which indicates when it's time to shift up. Other than that, fairly basic. The steering mounted audio controls for the infotainment system work nicely and offer good feel. It has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and this is a full touch infotainment system. So how does the S-Presso compare to its main rival, the Renault Quid? Well, this is a little taller than the Quid, so you do get that feeling of a commanding driving position. At the end of the day, it is a small car, make no mistake about that. Now with the driver's seat adjusted for a 5'8" driver like me, there is more than enough space in the back seat. Yes, it is a tall boy design. I have enough headroom, but for taller passengers there might be a problem. Legroom is more than adequate and I can really stretch out over here. However, it's not that wide, so it can only seat 2 people comfortably. For the third person, it's going to be a bit of a squeeze. The Maruti S-Presso has a 240-litre boot with more than enough space for your weekend luggage. It's quite deep, so you have enough space to put like a couple of bags over here. The following day, I switched to the automatic version of the Maruti S-Presso. Okay, disclaimer right up front, I'm usually not a fan of AMTs because you get this head nod and they're not that quick to shift. But with this S-Presso's AMT, it is quite surprising. In fact, I actually prefer the AMT over the manual because it's just so convenient. You can drive in D mode, and when you step on the gas, it downshifts and picks up like that. Or I could just get into manual mode and there's hardly any delay with my downshift. It's almost like a manual. So that was the Maruti Suzuki S-Presso for you, a vehicle that Maruti calls a mini SUV. Which variant do I like, the automatic gear shift or the manual transmission? Well, personally, I prefer the automatic, especially for city driving conditions. However, there are a few things that Maruti could have added to this to make it a little more appealing, especially for a car that costs over 5 lakhs on road. Things like a tachometer, a day-night mirror, and perhaps a rear wiper. These little additions would go a long way. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and subscribe to the Quint.